Let's see, 32. It's funny that 32 thousandths feels like 100 thousandths when I'm running this mill. So this is the Z32XP Bolton Tools desktop or benchtop milling machine. And I have run it pretty hard for, I don't know, 6-7 years, something like that. And now I'm getting signs of a thrust washer that is not working correctly anymore. So I'm going to dig into this guy, do some maintenance. Yeah, into the gearbox we go. Stand by. Okay, I got a part. At least I got it down to the part I'm trying to get to. Getting this cap off is kind of tough, but you can get it off. This little guy, I'll show you up top, is where a seal is to keep the oil from running down into the quill. And this thing's got a tight grip. And then this end, you know, it's in a bearing. So this guy won't come out. This guy, I'll have to show you later how you get these guys out. It's kind of, it was pretty cool in a way. So let me walk over here to the quill and see if I go right like this. See that? That's that 32 thousandths play in the thrust bearing somewhere in here. Bear with me while I climb this ladder. And you go inside and you can see, you know, here's one of the shifters. There's another one down there, see it? But right here, there's 3 screws holding this cover on, and under that cover has got to be some kind of thrust bearing. So tomorrow I'll get after it and dive deeper into it. I've been doing this intermittently, but you know, June in Yuma, like right here, 6 inches away from my finger, is well over 100 degrees. So it's hot. I got an air conditioner, but I don't run it unless I really have to save energy, you know, because the other side effect is in this particular town, we have the highest energy costs of just about anywhere in the United States because of the cartel that runs our energy supply. Yeah. So that's what's up today. Stand by. Okay, another quick bit. I'm going to show more details on putting this thing back together than trying to get it apart. Yeah. If anybody has one of his machines and wants to take it apart, I'll show you all the tricks, right? Stand by. So there it is. Quite frankly, everything in the box looks really good. And then over here on the table is the rest of it. Actually, this motor over here is not part of it. Ignore that. That's the broken one I got from Tool Lots of Thieves or whatever they're called. So yeah. And here I see where the problem lies. It's got a nut that tightens the bearings in the quill. And those bearings have relaxed enough for me to have 32 thousandths of play while the thing is cold. Probably more when it's hot because that tube's going to get longer, you know. Yep. So now I'm going to get seals out, get some bearings out. I got to order some parts, probably go to command. And then we get to see a very detailed story of how to put it back together. Yahoo. Here's a Quill. This is the problem. It's not the Quill, actually. It's the bearings. These guys. Chinese bearings. Anyway. Since this thing is adjusted with a nut, you could just pop it out and tighten it and put it back in. But I'd rather not do that. I'd rather get some really good high precision bearings that can take a preload and work for a long time. You know. The other thing to remember is these things are not lubricated by the oil in the gearbox. They're greased like wheel bearings. So periodically you might have to go in there and do something with them. I had noticed it was getting hot in addition to have that 30 thousandths play. It's really annoying trying to cut a 10,000 steep cut when the Quill can lift up 30 thousandths, you know. So anyway, back to this guy. Let me zoom it in a bit. Oh, that's good. So this outer race for the bearing, this guy goes right there. I have to take it out, and there is no provision to remove it easily. You notice there's a big wide lip here, and the step that this guy sits on is maybe 20 thousandths of an inch bigger than, or smaller than, the diameter of the race. So there's barely get my fingernails stuck in there. So I have to pull this out. And best way that I know how to do it is to take something like this. It's just a piece of steel. I set it in there. Now, then I take the MIG welder and I weld it right here. Put a nice tag on each side. At that point, you could actually drill a hole and tap it and make a fixture and screw a puller in there that would pull it out. And it's worth doing it if I'm going to be doing this a lot. But this is one time, so it's a lot easier for me to just tag these guys, knock it out by putting a big piece of pipe on the ground, like a chunk of aluminum bar stock or something, and just go bang, and then I can tap it out. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. Here we go. So I threw this old leather apron across all that because I don't want to clean all this stuff out and I don't have a lot of room. So keep the dingleberries and the spatter off of it. Oh, this might work. I had to go looking for a piece of bar. Hold on. Let's see if this will work. Ouch. Puppy's hot. Wow. Banged my finger, but it's out of there. Very nice. Y'all's got to be watching at the end. There it is. The other thing is too damn hot to touch, so I'm not going to show you that. All right. So while I'm waiting, I've just been cleaning up parts. You can see all of it here. You know, there's the worm gear that runs it up and down, the quill, and, or, you know, the precise control of the quill. It's a cross bolt, cross shaft for the quill. There's the shaft, the inner shaft, all the gears. This guy's all cleaned up. I make it a habit when I go and tear a machine all the way apart and clean it out and maybe replace some parts, I paint them gray. It's just me. It's how I keep track of stuff I've been inside of. I didn't really get inside this guy, but I painted it anyway. So, and there's a bunch of bits outside. As you can see, pile electrical all still hooked to the DRO. And the motor, just cleaned it up. And I'm waiting for bearings. So while I wait for the bearings, I watch paint dry. I ordered a bunch of bearings, 2 of each, so that I can have a spare set. Oddly enough, the one that goes down at the bottom of the quill down here, you can't get a nice bearing. You can get a cheap bearing, like a $12 one, but you can't get a precision bearing that size, apparently. Well, I went to Command and they can't match it. At least the guy I talked to couldn't match it. In any event, I decided to get a different style bearing anyway. That's like a wheel bearing from a car is what's over there. Like a tapered roller bearing. And I mean, they're okay, but I'm putting an annular thrust bearing in there so I can get a little bit better control. So that's what I'm at. Watching paint dry. Ain't it grand?